Marvel Studios has a habit of digitally altering their trailers to trick fans into believing the characters present in certain scenes aren't the same as those who end up being present in the final movie. A couple of prime examples include Spider-Man being missing from the airport fight scene in the Captain America Civil War trailer, and the Hulk being in the Battle of Wakanda in the Avengers Infinity War trailer. And we know the opposites ended up being the case with both characters.
Hulk, we got a lot to figure out, pal.
Now, in the recent Super Bowl spot for this year's Avengers Endgame, we did see Ant-Man. But was he digitally removed from one particular scene? We certainly think so, and that's what this video's all about. So here's the theory. We think Paul Rudd's Scott Lang, the superhero otherwise known as Ant-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was digitally removed from a certain scene in the recent Avengers Endgame Super Bowl teaser. The scene in question was the one in which Steve Rogers, Bruce Banner, Natasha Romanoff, and James Rhodes were looking up to the night sky in disbelief outside the Avengers New York headquarters. What exactly they were looking up at, we're not sure at this stage. Maybe it was Tony Stark arriving back on Earth, or Captain Marvel making her highly anticipated grand entrance into the movie to assist in the fight back against Thanos. But the fact is, there's a very noticeable gap between Banner and Rhodey, a gap of the perfect size for a human being to be standing in. Experience tells us that somebody will probably be stood in that gap in the final movie. And yes, we think that somebody is Scott Lang. Lang was absent from Avengers Infinity War, with the only explanation coming via something of a throwaway line spoken by Romanoff. He was otherwise completely ignored.
Yeah, well, what else is new?
His absence was further explained in last year's Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, the events of which were actually happening in conjunction with those of Infinity War. Ant-Man and the Wasp's mid-credit scenes showed what happened to its main characters when Thanos executed the decimation. Hank Pym, Hope Van Dyne, and Janet Van Dyne all turned to dust, while Lang survived but was left stranded in the quantum realm without his friend's help to get him out of there. After months of speculation about what might ultimately happen to him, the first trailer for Avengers Endgame confirmed that he will make it out, which wasn't really a surprise if we're being honest. It now looks as though he'll officially join the Avengers and assist them in traveling through time via the quantum realm, in a desperate attempt to undo the devastating effects of Thanos' snap. In spite of the fact that we're all expecting that to happen, Marvel Studios are still doing everything they can to keep his exact role in Endgame a secret. While he appeared at the very end of the first trailer, which gave the impression that he'll be a late arrival in the movie, that could just be a red herring. For all we know, it might be one of the very first scenes in the fourth Avengers offering. And the Endgame Super Bowl TV spot suggests that the secretive nature of his role does indeed remain a thing. In the aforementioned scene that we believe he's been edited out of, there are several other potential candidates who could be in that gap, but only a few make any kind of sense. Tony Stark and Nebula aren't accounted for, but they're probably still in space at that point. You know, if they're not the ones that the heroes in the scene are looking up at that moment. Thor and Rocket are probably out doing their own thing again, like they were in Avengers Infinity War. And their scenes in the Super Bowl spot certainly suggest that'll be happening in the sequel. Captain Marvel probably won't have become involved in the story by that point. And like Stark and Nebula, she could very well be the person the Avengers are looking up at. And Clint Barton's introduction as Ronan probably won't come until later in the movie, judging by Natasha Romanoff's longer hair when she finds him, and there's very little chance that he'll arrive from the skies anyway. Moreover, the fact that Romanoff is one of the people looking up at whoever's arriving would seem to rule Barton out, because he'll likely arrive home with her. Every other character you'd expect to turn up at the Avengers facility is currently dead. And with that in mind, we're led to believe that Ant-Man is the only logical choice to be missing in this shot based on existing knowledge. We already know, thanks to the first trailer showing him arriving and thanks to the Super Bowl spot showing him with War Machine, that he definitely makes his way to the Avengers facility. But there is more evidence to support the theory. Just look at the clothes the various characters are wearing. The first trailer showed Steve Rogers, Natasha Romanoff, and Bruce Banner, all during the daytime, wearing the same outfits they're wearing in the scene we believe Ant-Man's been edited out of. And rather pertinently, during those scenes, they're explaining Thanos' snap and who went missing as a result of it to an unseen character. Only Scott Lang and Carol Danvers would need such an explanation, and as we've already mentioned, these scenes appear to take place before Captain Marvel is believed to enter the story. Assuming this is the night of that same day, we think Lang will definitely be with the Avengers in the facility by this point. Hiding Ant-Man might not be as exciting as hiding Captain Marvel, or as exciting as hiding a surprise character from the comics who hasn't even been announced yet, such such as Black Knight or Nova, but this editing would still be a very shrewd move by Marvel Studios. It prevents us from getting a clear indication of the movie's timeline and leaves us with only one thing to be somewhat sure of: that everything we see in these trailers and teasers takes place in the first 20 minutes of the movie. You know, unless Kevin Feige was lying about that as well. Regardless of whether or not this particular theory turns out to be true, one thing you can absolutely guarantee is that in the final movie, not everything will be as it seems in the trailers and teasers. As fans, we know that nothing's ever straightforward with MCU movies, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Avengers Endgame hits theaters around the world at the end of April this year. Be excited. It's going to be one heck of a ride. What do you think of this theory? Was Ant-Man digitally removed from the Avengers Endgame trailer? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to ScreenRant for more great videos just like this one. Now, does anyone have any orange slices?